What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake NBA DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here once again. Welcome to the WiseTake DFS Daily Fantasy Sports YouTube channel. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you're notified whenever we go live. We do all kinds of DFS content for free here, and between this and our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/WiseTake. If you can like the video while you're here, guys, really means a lot. I know I saw a lot of you already hit that like button before I even got in here. That was really cool because you already knew I was going to ask for it. And you knew it's a weird thing to have to ask for it, but you got to do what you got to do, right? It's not about me. It's about what's best for the WiseTake Nation. And so even if it may make me feel uncomfortable to be like, yo, hit that like button over and over again, I do it for the nation. Everything I do is for the nation. What's up, Kyle? What's up, YouTube? Very excited for today's slate. We have what is it, 5 games? I don't know why I can never remember how many games are on the slate. I think it's 5. Yeah, which is like, I think, right in our wheelhouse of sizes, right? Those of you who were with us earlier for the early look, welcome back. We appreciate you. Some stuff has changed. We talked about the Knicks potentially trading Marcus Morris. They obviously made that move. We've got a couple things, like Philly got rid of a couple guys. It wasn't that big a deal. I don't believe Burks and Glenn Robinson are going to make their debuts anyway, but there were some players like Trey Burke they waived and a couple other minor moves like that when we go game by game we can kind of discuss and get into. We are still waiting for some news. RJ Barrett is questionable, and it's right at the gate with the first game. Gonna take our time with this one, right? We got 5 games. We could be a little more thorough. I think that's one of the benefits of when we have a little bit of a later lock. I like having a later lock. I mean, 7's cool. Don't get me wrong, but to give us a couple more minutes to prepare, had time to actually finish the article without feeling like I was rushing too much. Article is posted at wisetake.com. But yeah, I like this realm, and we have some really good games, right? I know that for those that may not know already, Russell Westbrook has been ruled in, so you're gonna have the Lakers and the Rockets going at it, right? As a late night hammer too. I believe that game is all by itself. Yeah, 10:30. So I mean, we got the Portland game starts at 10. Damian Lillard, is he going to keep his streak alive? I mean, obviously he didn't against Denver, I know, but that's Denver. I don't really count that as like a normal situation. Number one, he was probably due for a bad game. Everybody has a bad game shooting, and that's one of the issues with Dame. While the assist numbers are there, the rebound numbers are sometimes there. It's really the scoring that you're looking for him to do, and it's him taking all these threes. But the positive with Dame is the usage rate was there. So there's a lot of interesting spots. I've seen on Twitter everybody's making jokes about Anthony Davis matching up against Houston now that they have no center at all. I mean, it should be cool. They had Bell for a second. They got rid of him. Covington's in the player pool. So now we have to discuss that and try to figure out what we think he's going to do. And if we think it's worth it, being that Russell Westbrook is in and we know what that means in terms of the usage. So there's a lot going on. One thing I'm grateful for is the trade deadline is over, right? I think it ended at 3 p.m. Eastern today. So definitely grateful that it's over. Because that shit yesterday was some pressure shit. Guys getting ruled out. That shit was some pressure shit. DeAndre Jordan traded? Is that real? Did DeAndre Jordan got traded? I don't know. Yesterday, somebody came in and said that Burks and Robinson, or maybe it was Glenn Robinson, was traded to the Sixers, and like we couldn't find any confirmation, and that person ended up being right. We found out later. Yeah, George Hill out. Okay, so we did get the George Hill news. He's gonna miss again. I did not know about the DeAndre Jordan trade. If you're in the chat, if you have a link to confirm that, hook everybody up in the chat, drop it in there. Yeah, Pistons. Oh man, that's right. I mean, how about my Knicks? My Knicks traded Marcus Morris for a bag of peanuts. No, I'm just kidding. I think they got a first round draft pick along with Harkless. But the Drummond thing, that was wild, right? Just completely just cut him off. I said the same thing on Twitter. I was pissed that they did it only because they don't get a chance to play each other. Drummond was pissed. They call him 7 Mile Dre. That's his nickname over there. He like fully embraced. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The 76ers did get Burks and Glenn. Yes, Nick. That's exactly what I was. Somebody had called it earlier in the day and it wasn't confirmed. It didn't get confirmed until later on. He didn't get traded. Okay. I didn't see nothing. So I mean, no offense. It's not that I don't trust anyone. It's more like me waiting for I like to just wait until Woj says it or we get some kind of confirmation like that, because shit like that happens in the NBA, man. Rumors drop, they fly, everything. It gets crazy. Nick, you're a Knicks fan also, like me. I feel sorry for you, man. It's been tough. I'm gonna say this. I'm not here to obviously plug and tell you guys what to listen to or any of that shit. I'm here to talk about DFS and we're gonna get into it. Obviously we only have 5 games, so it shouldn't be a problem, but the All the Smoke podcast is pretty cool. It's like Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and they had Kevin Durant on. It was pretty interesting. One of the funnier things that Durant said, obviously, if you remember, maybe some of you don't know, he got caught recently with like a burner account. I don't know if you remember that, but he like tweeted. He was probably drunk, and he was tweeting from this burner account defending himself, and then everybody like figured out that it was him and all this kind of stuff. And like he admitted it, he didn't deny it, but it was hilarious when he said. He basically said he's not going to stop doing the burner shit. So I thought that was pretty funny. He just straight up said, yeah, and I'm going to keep doing that shit. But anyway, all right, you guys heard enough of me rambling on. I'm starting to see some DFS questions in here. Now I'm getting excited about the slate. Paul Holderman says Bobby Portis or Knox tonight. We'll have to see. It depends, man. We're waiting on some key news from the Knicks. If you guys hear it first, let me know. Otherwise, I got the Slack pulled up, so I'm ready to get the feed. And as soon as I hear anything, I'll let you guys know. All right, let's go ahead. Yeah. Drummond. Yeah, DeAndre Drummond, not DeAndre Jordan. Correct. Holla. That's the correction. That was the correction, Kyle. You said DeAndre Jordan traded. Think you meant Drummond? Assuming you meant Drummond? Anyway. All right, let's get into this. So, first game, we've got Orlando Magic visiting the New York Knicks. I'm going to pull up the schedule notes real quick from my boy Jay Irv. I know that the Magic are on a back-to-back. I'm pretty sure this is a 4-6 as well. I looked at this earlier. Yeah, so back end of a back-to-back, 4-6, some travel. We know they played, I think it was Boston last night in Orlando. The Knicks have actually had 2 days off. We know that they are now without Marcus Morris. As far as the Knicks injuries go, Dotson and Alonzo Trier, not that Trier was really playing anyway, but they're both ruled out. They're both sick. A bunch of Knicks are sick. Mitchell Robinson's probable, but he's also sick. Glenn Robinson's sick. He's probable. RJ Barrett's the big piece on that side that we're waiting for. We want to know if RJ Barrett is playing or not. And we'll get into all that in a second. Starting with the Orlando side, because we always start with the road team. Evan Fournier projects fairly well. Weighed out in comparison to the slate, like he doesn't really fit. He would fit a balanced build. I think it's going to be low owned. He's a shooter. He's a 4-6 back-to-back, all that kind of stuff, but it is the Garden. And we know shooters typically do well in the Garden. I think Michael Carter-Williams is one of the more interesting pieces from this team. Obviously, this game has the lowest total on the board by far, a 206 total. The next lowest is 227, which is the Philly Bucks game. So we've got a very, very low total. Both of these teams just crawl, especially Orlando. Orlando is where DFS teams Orlando is where pace goes to die. Like any fast-paced team, that's where they go when they want to be put down. But it doesn't mean that we can't look at players and simply still make a projection and decide whether or not their price is too low. We saw yesterday a lot of people avoided that game outside of Cantor, and I think Tatum had a really big day. Gordon went off. So even though it was a slow-paced game and it was an ugly situation relative to all the other games with the high totals, there were some really good plays there. And the same thing happened with that we talked about the mid-tier game, right? The Toronto Pacers game. We talked about it on the early day and on the Wise stream that it could be the perfect mid-tier game, and they all went off. They all did that. I didn't do enough of it. I think I mentioned at that time I was going to get 15 Lowry. I ended up with like 10. Didn't do myself any favors there. But today is a new day. But anyway, so the Orlando guys, even so there wasn't a ton here that I was terribly interested in. I think Vooch is kind of interesting. But again, the 4-6 worries me a little bit. Michael Carter-Williams, again, he balled out yesterday, and he's at the same position as Kobe White, who I think is going to be very popular. So he's an interesting pivot. We don't have a lot of value today. We have all these studs, and the value we have is kind of scary. We'll explain and go into it. We could get more opening up from the Knicks, but when has value from the Knicks ever been promising? So it just looks like a day where we're just going to have to be uncomfortable with the value in order to reach the studs, or a day where we just say, I'm not doing the value, I'm going balanced. And it comes down to if you could find the right builds. But there are a few teams out there that are pretty balanced. There's also teams out there and studs out there. So a couple of different ways to go. But with the Magic, there wasn't a ton that kind of stood out to me. Markelle Fultz hasn't played too well. I'm okay with Gordon. I just don't like, the positions. There's just so many other players I like better. He's not even projecting well for us. Fournier would be the one that projects the best, but Michael Carter-Williams is the one that I think may be the most useful because he's cheap. Going to play around, 20 to 23 minutes max. Yesterday, he went for 30-something DraftKings points. So I don't want to chase necessarily. I'm not going to have a ton of him. There's just really not a ton from the Magic I want. As far as the Knicks go, I was a little perplexed on what to do with Elf, so I jacked his minutes up with Morris out just for the simple fact that I expect his usage to go up a little. The numbers obviously showed that Julius Randle got the most significant usage bump at 3%, but Reggie Bullock also got a bump. So this is a situation where if RJ Barrett's ruled in, I probably won't change Elf, and where Elf is now, we would get some on FanDuel. We just probably wouldn't get any on DraftKings because 7-3 is expensive for him. He triple-doubled. It took overtime for him to do it, but he did it. But this is a revenge spot for Elf, for those of you who like the narrative. Right? He did start his career, I believe, with Orlando. And the other thing about it is he could end up seeing more minutes if RJ Barrett's out, because now with Marcus Morris gone, they can't play Knox 50 minutes, right? Maybe we see Wayne Ellington make some appearances, but as far as guys that are going to get significant minutes, they may end up having to play one of the guards alongside Elf. They may have to play Nitty or DSJ or one of those guys alongside, being that Dotson. Dotson's really the one. Trier was never really in the rotation, but Dotson had been playing minutes, at least a little. So, again, if RJ Barrett is out, there's even more to like here. And it's a similar situation to Boston when there's people missing. Marcus Morris is a big piece. He was playing big minutes, and he was one of the usage leaders on the team. We saw a little stretch where he was hurt before, and Randall was just beasting. Which brings me to Randall. I think he's overpriced? Yes. I jacked his minutes up just to kind of reflect the usage increase. Again, there's a lot of power forwards. We'll talk about LaMarcus Aldridge, who's underpriced. We've got Anthony Davis against the Rockets. We got Zion. There's a lot. So I don't want to necessarily commit a ton to Randall, but I do want some on a 5-game slate. Because I think he's going to shoot the ball a ton, especially depending on the starting lineup. He's just the main guy. It was him and Morris are the only two that are really even aggressive, besides Bobby Portis, which could be crazy if they start Portis. I just don't see that happening, because Portis would have to start over Taj, not over Knox or whatever. They're not playing Randall or Portis at the 3. That's not happening. So if RJ is in and he's not limited or whatever, or even if he's just in, I would assume he starts. So I would assume we'd see Elf, Barrett, Reggie Bullock, Randall, and Taj, with Mitchell Robinson coming in and out. But if he's out, like I said, I could see them maybe starting Knox, but I can also see them incorporating some of the other players like DSJ or Frank Nitty for defense alongside Elf, which in my opinion would increase Elf's minutes in theory. With that said, Mitchell Robinson I think is an interesting value center, more so on DraftKings. You don't want to, he's a risky guy to sacrifice your only center position on FanDuel. But on DraftKings at 4-6, again, they kind of they're going to need some scoring to pick up the slack from Marcus Morris, and Mitchell Robinson is one of their options for sure, especially against Orlando, who's not really defensively imposing against big. So if he could stay out of foul trouble, he could be looking at a couple more minutes, and as far as matchup goes, it's not bad. So I think he's interesting as well. And then I guess Reggie Bullock himself, right now, he's actually not a terrible value play in terms of projections. He's not a great player. It's not fun. With Marcus Morris off the court, he did see a 2% increase. He had the second biggest jump. And if RJ Barrett is out, I mean, honestly, with Marcus Morris being out, he could be playing a ton. But if RJ Barrett were to miss, I would think Reggie Bullock would play even more. So either way, I think it's an interesting value play, as ugly as that is. It's not a guy I usually play. Trust me. Lytle says, so is all the trading finished yet? It's supposed to, yes. I mean, there's always loophole ways you'll see shit but as far as the trade deadline, the trade deadline passed at 3 p.m. today. So this is supposed to be it. In baseball, you have a trade deadline, then 2 months later, this dude just picked up on waivers, and it was basically a low-key trade, and the way they word things. But yeah, the trade deadline was at 3 p.m. today. So this should be somewhat breezy. Let's go to the next game, guys. Appreciate those of you who are just joining us. If you can hit that like button, really goes a long way, really helps us out. Smash the like. Let's go on to the next. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers and the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a really interesting game. So Philly's been terrible on the road. There's rumors that there's problems in the locker room. There's rumors that I don't know. I hear Horford is could be one of the problems. I don't know. It seems to me like Simmons and Embiid both have their own kind of ego things going on, and I would imagine Horford, who always had a reputation to some degree, right? It seems like everywhere he goes, there's some kind of locker room issue. I never looked at Horford like that until you just think about where he's been, right? In Boston, they had a locker room issue. Maybe it wasn't him, but he happened to be there. Is all I'm saying. With that said, you can see that the Philadelphia 76ers are extremely cheap. Keep in mind, they are being paced up pretty dramatically by Milwaukee. We have a 227 total. Milwaukee is a 9-point favorite. The Sixers have been terrible on the road. They played 3 straight road games already, and they've lost all 3, including one against the Hawks. That wasn't even really close. Now they go into Milwaukee to play one of the top teams in the East, the top team in the East. It's kind of scary. No Josh Richardson, obviously. Kyle O'Quinn is out for personal reasons. Jonah Bolden and Trey Burke, I believe, were waived. They did get in Burks and Robinson, but they're not expected to be available today, so this is what they're left with. I think that Shake Milton, Tybal, Furkan are all, like, it's not as good as if like one more was out, but there is going to be that shooting guard role they have to fill in, and they'll be obviously rotating guys in and out, so they will play. I don't particularly love them, but if this game blows out, they could be looking at some extended run, which is certainly a possibility. Like I said, Phillies look terrible on the road. I don't know what it is. They have one of the best home records, but they've looked awful on the road. But their prices have come down to a point where like we really can't ignore them, right? Tobias Harris is 6'2" on. He's had 2 bad games in a row. I get it. 6'2" on FanDuel, 6'6" on DraftKings against a team that entices you to shoot 3-pointers. Because they like to collapse. They want you to. They would rather you beat them by the 3 than anything else. Joel Embiid has had just a history of dominance against this team. Last year he went for 60s and 70s, and I'm not even expecting that because I understand the team is different. And then he's coming back from an injury and all this shit. But still, 9K and 9-1 is just way too cheap. Al Horford, I really don't want to touch when Embiid's there, but even he is probably too cheap to just ignore completely. And last but not least, Ben Simmons. This guy's playing 37 to 40 minutes a game. I have him like 37 minutes as a conservative setting. I set that conservatively, and he still projects really, really well, especially on DraftKings. So Simmons, and especially being that he's small forward eligible, it gives us more flexibility. So I'm probably going to end up with a lot of Simmons. He's another one that he just does better in pace-up spots. He does better in fast-paced games. We saw those last games that they played. I think it was Boston was one of them. Let me see. So they've played Miami, a very slow team. Boston, a very slow team. He did not do well in those games. They did get blown out. Those teams are significantly better than Atlanta. But when he played Atlanta, he did go for 52, despite the fact that their team still sucked. It's just, I think it's the fast pace, him getting a lot of extra assists in transition, having more opportunities for rebounds when the bigs are kind of scattered. So I do like Simmons a lot. Simmons, Embiid, and Harris. I like all 3 of them. Simmons is the one I'm getting the most of right now. Tobias is the one that interests me the most. Embiid's the one that I'm having a problem let go because of the price. So I'm going to have a lot of Sixers. If they get blown out, it's going to suck. I'm not going to be like overcommitted to them, but it's hard for me to envision, even if they get their teeth kicked in today, because of the pace of this game, it's just hard for me to envision at least one of these guys, if not all 3 of them, like doing well. Now, I will say this. Phillies had 2 days off, but they play tomorrow. So the reason I stress that is because this game has a 9-point spread. If they do get blown out, they may be quick to pull the trigger and pull their guys. Now, I say that. James Enos was also traded today, but I say that. And keep in mind, just like if you count the bodies on the team, I think they'll still see their minutes some way. Maybe they just play them all in the third quarter to get it up that way. It's a possibility. But yeah, either way, just something to keep in mind. I'll update Enos and get him out of there since he's not with the team anymore. Holla if you hear me. Just something to keep in mind. As far as Milwaukee, they've had a day off. So they're just kind of chilling. They had a really friendly schedule after the France game. It continues. On the Philly side, I'm not as interested, but I'm still interested. I think that they've been playing really well. Guys like Bledsoe and especially Middleton's playing really well. And they continue to just kind of go. People are afraid to commit because of the minutes. Same thing with Giannis. People are kind of afraid to commit because of we know how they are. And I get it. We know how they are. Right now, the way I have the minutes set, this is for a closer game. If you don't think this game is going to be that close, then I would probably lower everybody by at least a minute or 2 because we know that this coach is very conservative. He won't play his guys unless he has to. in the back of my mind, I can't help but think Philly gets up for this game and pulls it together and at least keeps it close. Not saying that they'll even cover, that Milwaukee won't cover the 9, but at least let them cover the 9 like late in the fourth quarter so everybody gets their minutes. So that's the way I projected Milwaukee. I was getting some Middleton. Bledsoe was probably the one I was getting the most of. I think that has a lot to do with position and the fact that he's the cheapest. We have a lot, shooting guard and small forward is relatively deep considering the size of the slate. Giannis, I wasn't getting a ton of. I think that has a lot to do with the lack of value. We have other studs who project better for us on a point per dollar scale, and there's just not like a ton of value lying around. George Hill we have to remove. We know that. I'll probably give DiVincenzo a little boost. George Hill's absence certainly helps Bledsoe as well, and Middleton, because that is one of the veteran guys that they do rely on at times when they do pull out Bledsoe, Middleton. So I'll make that update. For those of you who are subscribed to WiseTake.com, these are the same projections that you download from our site. So it's again, I keep you posted on here when they're updated, so you know when to go grab it. I'll probably update them on the in between once we get Paulie on. But yeah, I think that I think it's kind of interesting. DiVincenzo certainly opened up as a value. It's just price is starting to creep up a little bit. Wesley Matthews did well the other day. I just never like playing that guy, but I'll probably have to give him a couple extra minutes too. It fills out. He played 28 minutes against New Orleans. Shot 6 for 11, 5 and 9 from 3, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block. Typical, that's just what he is, but not that interested. It's really the main three here. Giannis, I'm scared to say it, but I don't think I reach much Giannis. It's mainly Bledsoe and Middleton. I don't mind Brolo, but there's a lot of guys in that range. Mitchell Robinson, we'll talk about Derek Favors, but I'm actually okay with Brolo as like a cheaper center if you want to do some of that. But just in general, from a projection standpoint, Milwaukee doesn't project bad. And it's interesting because there's not a lot of guys that project that great. There are some slates where we'll see a lot of guys come in projecting at 6x. And on FanDuel, it seems like it's like that every day. But on DraftKings, it's not the case every day. So even though the guys have like a 5.6, it doesn't mean it's bad today. When you grade it out across the whole slate, it's like a pretty dramatic drop-off after the first initial value players and point per dollar value. If that makes sense. Holla if you hit me. Let's get it. All right. We've got the New Orleans Pelicans visiting the Chicago Bulls. This one should be fun. So I'm assuming this game's gonna have some type of heavy ownership. That's what I'm thinking. I think that on the as far as the schedule goes with New Orleans, they've had a day off. Chicago's had 3 days off. Chicago's 3 days rested, by the way. So they're nice and relaxed. I think that's a good thing for Levine. We'll talk about that in a second. Starting with New Orleans. So Brandon Ingram, I do think is going to play more minutes than I have projected for him. And even with limited minutes, he projects well. Brandon Ingram also went for 61 DraftKings points the last time these guys played in January. There's a couple things. Number one, that Zion obviously wasn't around. Number two, on the opposing team was a little bit different. His matchup was a little bit different. I think Levine, he saw a lot of Levine that day, as Dunn went to Holiday and etc. Number three, Drew Holiday didn't play that game either. So I do think the circumstances are very different. Now, he was 8-6 that day and went for 60. He's not 8-6 today. On FanDuel, I'm not really interested at 8,200. I'd rather play Tobias for sure. On DraftKings, they're kind of tempting you, and you can see, like, even with me withholding a minute or arguably a minute and a half from Ingram, he's still like projecting as a good play. I'm gonna play him somewhere around 30. That was the reason I limited him. I didn't want it to give me like 60% of him or anything like that. I like him and I like his team, but I'm not. I like his team, but I'm not really ready to commit to him specifically. I don't want to feel like I'm chasing it. His matchup's going to be different. I think Chandler Hutchison's going to be covering him today. They could bring in Shaq Harrison, who's a defensive specialist. He's normally for the guards. I know that. But it's not like Ingram is big and strong. You know what I mean? He's just a tall, lanky dude. So the Bulls, you'll see, the Bulls just don't have a lot of bodies available. So what they'll do, not exactly sure. Derek Favors is cheap. His usage rate was alarmingly low in that last game. Like, alarmingly low. Giannis was there. It was a big game. Maybe he was taking a step back. This is a great matchup for him. I mean, if he's gonna dominate Luke Cornett, if that's who they throw out there. And even if it's Felicio, who's like a little stronger, stocky, Felicio is still short. He's like 6'9" or some shit like that. So either way, Favors has a really good matchup if New Orleans decides to stay big. We've seen them go small a lot. Favors is only playing 24 to 26 minutes usually a night. They'll play Zion at the 5, no problem. Lonzo Ball is interesting just from the fact that I don't think anybody's going to play him, and he's played really well. His minutes have looked awesome. We've got him projected for 36, and you can argue that that's even conservative just because of how much he's played. The Bulls typically do a good job against guards, but them missing Chris Dunn is going to be, I think, a blow. When you put Zach LaVine, I like to attack Zach LaVine. I just like to. I don't got a problem with him, and nothing personal. I just don't think he's very good defensively. So I think Jrue Holiday is kind of interesting at 7-1. It's a really low price. He's coming off of 2 really bad games. The usage is still fine. Like, it's not really changing from when he was going for 40 and 50. It's just his efficiency. He's just having a hard time hitting a shot. But not somebody that I want to ignore. Really good matchup for Zion. Don't love the price. I have him a little inflated minutes-wise. Like, he's never played more than 33. I think I have him at like 33 and a half or something like that. I just rounded up to 34 on the visual. But I want to have some. I don't know if I could commit to too much because he's the most expensive. But this is a good spot for him, too. He's going to play some center. If Gafford's doubtful, so assuming that we're looking at Cornette and Felicio, he can also destroy these guys. So I do want some of him. It's just from a pricing perspective, he's obviously the toughest to reach. But you can see on FanDuel, they all kind of project well, except for Ingram over there, like Favors, Ball, Holiday. I like that Favors is power forward over there. That's always pretty clutch. But New Orleans is definitely a team I'm interested in. I think this game's going to be competitive. Bulls have had 3 days off. Bulls don't play fast, but New Orleans is going to push the pace, obviously. So yeah, this is I think I'm looking at around like 20 to 30% of like all the Holiday, Ingram, some Favors, and sprinkling some Ball. Don't mind Josh Hart either for value. He's been playing minutes. He's been closing. It's just hard to give him. He doesn't project well for us because it's hard to give him anything to commit to. He's kind of splitting with Redick, and you're not really sure situationally. They do got guys on the bench that they can play. It's not like they're thin. The Chicago side's a little more thin. Chandler Hutchison projects to be one of the top value plays on the slate, as does Colby White. What it comes down to is this team is pretty thin. They got this Adam Aroka dude who they don't really play. He's not even in the FanDuel player pool. But outside of that, like Chris Dunn's hurt. Gafford's doubtful. Denzel Valentine's doubtful. Otto Porter's been out. Lauri Markkanen's been out. Wendell Carter's been out. So they actually do have a lot of compiled injuries. So when you're looking at players that are actually in their rotation, which Ryan Arcidiacono has recently joined the rotation again, they are actually pretty thin. They don't have that many. Assuming Hutchison, who's probable, starts at the 3, which I think he will, I'm going to assume he's going to play a lot. He played 28 minutes in that last game against Toronto. They got destroyed. So like the last 5 minutes of that game was garbage time. But he was closing up to that point, got 28. I think he was on his way to playing a full 33, or better. Now he has been every day. All the Bulls are sore. All the Bulls are questionable every single day. But he would be the value play that I feel the most safe, that I feel the safest with today. He's probably going to be the value play I have the most exposure to today. Just simply based off, like, the price is low enough, but he's actually played really well, even when he was getting his 20 minutes off the bench. It's weird to pay this price because I've been playing him so much at like 3-3. But I think he's going to get minutes. I mean, again, he got 28, 2 out of the last 3 games. Against Brooklyn, he only got 22, and despite that, he still went for 22.75 DraftKings points. So that's not going to help you at 4-3, but it's not going to crush you either. So I think he's the one I feel the most comfortable with. Plus, I would assume they're going to stick him on Ingram. So foul trouble could be a thing, but he'll be busy. Like, I think he'll be active. That's the other thing about it. He's been active grabbing boards. If Chicago decides to go small, we can see them try to put like Thad on Zion if New Orleans allows them to go small, and we could see Hutchison slide down to the 4 in some situations, which would put him in a good position for rebound. So all in all, there's scenarios where this doesn't work, but there's a lot of different scenarios where it does. And it's hard for me to envision, unless he gets hurt or fouls out of the game and very early, that he really kills us. But knock on wood, holla if you hear me. Zach LaVine, this is a really good spot for him. I like playing him when he's rested too. He's had 3 days off. This is a team that he's had success against. Not that means shit. I know that. I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, well, he did really good last time, so he should do really good this time, because I don't believe that shit at all. I like to know, because I like to look into it and see that he exploit a certain matchup, or because sometimes there is a thing like that. Sometimes a guy just had a good game, but sometimes you can find ways where, oh, they were able to exploit this matchup, or this team's not good against the pick and roll, or whatever the case may be. LaVine, if this game is close, which I think it will be, again, with 3 days off, you would think they would. He's obviously got the most upside and ceiling on the team. We expect his usage to be massive. It hasn't been as high as we would like over the last 2 games, but they were in like a little tougher stretch, 3 straight road games, all that bullshit. But I do like him. He's rested. We know he's going to shoot a ton. I pulled him up because I wanted to talk about New Orleans. So earlier this season, he went for 30. He played 37 minutes, went for 51 DraftKings points against New Orleans. And then in the preseason, this don't mean shit. This is just funny to me. 24 minutes, and he went for 53. He went for 35. So it just seems like this is a good matchup. Like in general, the fast-paced stuff, more shots for him, more opportunities. Probably don't mean nothing. Regardless, I do like LaVine when he's rested, and his price is down. So forget all the other. I can give you narratives for days if you want to. I don't mean shit to me, but when you hear interesting facts, you just say them. Thaddeus Young's kind of interesting in that his minutes, man, you can see, look at them. They don't have a lot of bigs. And New Orleans is not like they're the biggest team in the world, but they got Favors, they got Zion, they got some big people. So I would imagine that Thaddeus Young is going to be at times guarding Zion, at times guarding Ingram when Zion's not in. I think he's going to be kept busy today, so I think he's fine where he is. He doesn't do a ton. You're banking on peripherals. Satoransky should be low owned after burning everybody at 4,500. His price has come up. Luke Cornett, I think, will be a known value play. I mean, I lowered his minutes to 25. I saw some places projecting him as high as 27 and 28, and they were still coming to the same projection as me, which is, I guess they had some kind of boost on for the matchup, but he's okay. I mean, I'll work him in. I wouldn't be surprised if they used Felicio more, just because even though he's shorter, he's like stockier. So, if Favor tries to bully him or Zion tries to bully him, I guess you got a better shot with him in there, I guess. So, he could. I'm just not a big Felicio. He just don't do shit when he's on the court. I mean, if he got like 40 minutes, maybe do something, but he just don't do enough on the court for me. He's just not a guy that I'm ever really dying to play. Kobe White should be the next best value play that we have on this slate as of right now. Now, I was conservative with him. Some places have his projection way up. We got him at about, I think it's 24 and a half minutes or something like that. Some people have him as high as 25 and a half, and his point per minute average actually isn't bad. It's just his consistency because he's very scoring dependent. But I would assume he's going to play 25. He did play the garbage time last time, which is what got him to 25 minutes. But there's a pretty good chance that he missed out on time he would have played early in the fourth quarter. But they were trying to see if they can come back or not, and so he got cost minutes. So I think he would have gotten 25 regardless, basically. The volume is there. That's one thing about White is he's actually, of these value guys that we're considering, he's got one of the higher ceilings because of how often he shoots. In 25 minutes against Toronto, he took 13 shots, took 11 threes. Against Brooklyn, he took 10 shots, 7 threes. So especially on DraftKings where you're rewarded a little bit more for the three, it does seem like an interesting spot for him. His floor is real low. So he could hurt you, but again, we just went through it. This team is pretty thin. On the second unit, he should be looked at as one of the go-to scoring options. So I think he'll play more. I do like him and Hutchison for value. It's terrifying, but I like to take the value in the pace-up spots, and they're cheap. And I like Hutchison a little more just because I think they have a bigger need for a forward right now. But I do like both him and Kobe White, and I think they will both be popular, especially Kobe White. He seems to be even more popular, even though I would end up with more Chandler right now. I don't know. And then LaVine, of course, I'm cool with. I like too. 3 days rest. I'm with it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Pop into chat. Any Drew Holiday? Yeah, I don't mind Drew Holiday, to be honest with you. I think that 7-1, like I said, he didn't play in this last game, so I'm cool with Ingram. I'm not trying to badmouth Ingram in this situation because, again, he projects well for us too, even with a conservative minute projection. But Holiday was the variable. He wasn't at that game, so I don't know how he's going to match up. They don't have Chris Dunn, who's one of their better guard defenders. So he's in the usage didn't change, right? His price is 7-1. That came down. His usage didn't, well, it went up a little bit, I guess. His usage didn't change in the last 2 games. He just played poorly. It's either variance or he's just in a rut. But if it's just variance, then yeah, he's way too cheap. Right? Hit that like button if you didn't already. Appreciate those of you who are joining us. Welcome to the WiseTake Nation. Let's keep rolling with the next game. We've got the San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trail Blazers. I have a feeling it's going to be Paulie, one of Paulie's favorites. And I know he likes New Orleans too. I talked to him for a couple minutes, but we will go to San Antonio first. We've got a 228 total. It's actually down 3 points, which is not good for me because I like a lot of plays in this game. So from 231 down to 228, Portland opened up -3. They're up to -3.5 at home. Portland, we know, coming off that terrible loss to Denver. But San Antonio's had 1 day rest. They are completed. They are still in a 4-6 stretch, but they've had a day off. We know they've been on the West Coast. They played the Clippers recently, back-to-back with the Lakers and all that. They've had a day off in between, and now they're playing Portland in Portland. Portland has had a day off as well, but this is the front end of a back-to-back. Similar story. I mean, this is a tight spread, 3.5. It's hard to envision either team really blowing the other one out, but in that scenario, look for Portland. I mean, you know, the Spurs do it all the time too, but look for Portland to find ways. I don't think Portland's like that. I mean, they can't really be like that. They need Dame to go all out every game to keep winning. But anyway, let's get into it. So, I don't like the fact that the total's going down. That annoys me. LaMarcus Aldridge should be one of the most popular plays on the slate, and for good reason. For some reason, he's ridiculously priced. We talked about him being too good to be true last time, and I saw that going bad because it was a bad matchup against the Lakers. I mean, we all did. We talked about it. The Lakers, and also it was a back-to-back. It was the perfect situation. He had gone for 50 the night before. It was the perfect, like, okay, people are going to chase this, and it's bad. We were right about it. This one, I'm a little on the fence. It still seems too good to be true. But it is a really good matchup for him against Portland. Whiteside is a big dude, but he's not a very good defender. Again, you'll hear me say it all the time. It's because you can block shots because you're big. Doesn't mean you're actually a good on-ball defender. So I do think Aldridge has had success against this team. This is his former team, so if you want narrative, you have it, right? This is the team you spent all those years with, or whatever. And then you consider the fact that the matchup is actually pretty good, right? Him and DeRozan hog so much of the usage, it makes sense. Portland's defense is not good. Outside of Whiteside, they are not a very big team. They're a small team outside of Whiteside, right? Like Carmelo's at the 4. So, yeah, I like Aldridge a ton. He's going to be chalky as hell, and I'm just going to eat it. And, you know, I'm sure I'll be coughing up some weird shit later from it, but it's hard for me to get around it. He's going to be one of the players I have a pretty good stance on, and I think a lot of people will. DeJounte Murray, ownership-wise, is interesting to me. The projection, it's kind of okay. I'll probably end up with some, maybe like 5 to 10%, just based off of where I'm trying to figure everybody else is. Patty Mills is an interesting pivot. We talked about Michael Carter-Williams being a pivot off of Kobe White. And when I say this, I am playing a lot of Kobe White. I'm just saying that there are pivots available that you may want to work in between if you're playing, especially if you're playing a lot of Kobe White. Or even if you want to fade him, but you still need guys to find those builds. Patty Mills is another option. I was aggressive with his minutes, but he has played upwards of 25, or really 24, 25. And he's been active when he's on the court. He's coming off a bad game, so he's in a bounce back spot. They've relied on him in that second unit scoring. They'll bring him in over Murray at times for scoring. He's a guy that's going to go out there, try to shoot. He's capable of getting assists, and he's actually done decent against Portland over his career. So I think Patty Mills is an interesting value play. Right now, we're probably looking at around 15%, 20% based off his current projection. And I have him jacked up already, so I can't, I don't want to go crazy and jack him up too much more. Derek White is cheap. He's fine, but again, the Spurs point guards are kind of hard to predict. They literally do it by series, it seems. DeMar DeRozan should have like no ownership. Just there's so many guys, like Brandon Ingram's going to take ownership away from him. At the small forward level, or shooting guard, you've got Holiday, you've got Zach LaVine, you've got CJ McCollum, and there's plenty of guys that'll split the ownership with him. So DeRozan's just kind of an interesting pivot from the aspect of he's going to be really low owned. Again, doesn't project all that well for us. We could probably find ways to give him a little boost, but it wouldn't be anything significant. Maybe we'll do it just to get a little exposure, but for us, it's a process thing. And for me, maybe FanDuel, I'd feel more comfortable playing him. Right, we give him a boost on FanDuel, he actually starts showing up. So again, for game theory purposes, I'm cool with it. But in the context of MME, I don't know exactly how much I end up reaching because it's a very competitive position. Guys are priced better, and this would just be a purely game theory pivot thing. I think that's it for the Spurs. Right, LMA play of the day. Holla if you hear me. The Magician, we call him the Magician because he's got a tendency to disappear. On the Portland side, one of the best named guys, Jalen Horde. I just wish his name was long. I know he's not playing or anything. I just wanted to say that. They traded Scalloway. Change the subject right quick. So I guess we just start with Dame, right? I have Dame for going out there and doing dirties like he's been. Of the studs, he was the one I was getting the most of at one point. I think now, it's a little more split. It's close between him and Anthony Davis. I don't have, a ton of one stud. I have a lot of the Philly guys right now, but I like Dame today. I think that we talked about it earlier. Going into Denver, that is a tough place to play. for anybody, despite the situation. And with altitude and all that kind of stuff, he didn't shoot well. We knew that was going to happen at some point, right? He's not going to keep shooting 80% every single day. But I do think that these are shots kind of like Steph Curry. These are shots that he's practiced. These are shots he's comfortable with, and I expect him to start making them again. He's at home in a good matchup against the Spurs, who are not good defensively. And the usage was the same. His usage was still through the roof in the 30s. So I do like Dame. I do like the idea of going back. I'm not sure how popular he's going to be. I don't think he'll be crazy popular, but I don't think he's going to be like no 5% either, right? It's a 5-game slate. He's going to get, people are going to play him. This guy's going for 70, 80 every other game, or really every game except for that last game against Denver. So I think he bounces back. I think right now I'm looking at around 30%. I went into this. I know something funny with Paulie. I don't know if Paulie, like, I haven't talked to him about Dame since, texted him earlier, but I know that I went and checked to a certain thing that we share, and I saw that like Lillard's projection was just like blasted through the roof, and it was pretty funny, like with locked buttons. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I know what Paulie's planning on doing, but we'll see. We'll hear from him what he thinks. I'm sure he's gonna like him. And then Hassan Whiteside, man. Hassan Whiteside, believe it or not, even though I was hoping I was going to get more Dame, Whiteside was the player I got the most of, and I'm fine with it, man. I think the price is too low. Even on FanDuel, because of all the block potential, he gets so many points for blocks. I do like Whiteside quite a bit. 8K on DraftKings is really, really friendly. So him and Embiid are going to be two of the spend-up centers that do get a pretty good portion of my ownership. Ariza is an interesting value play, a potential pivot off of Chandler Hutchison if you're worried about his ownership. Hutchison's usage rates is higher. Like Ariza's like the fifth option in the starting lineup at this point to shoot the ball, but he's gonna play minutes. He's gonna play big minutes. He is cheap, and when he's asked to shoot, he will. And there are situations where they may leave him open to try to double Dame or McCollum or whatever the case may be. CJ McCollum, I think, is sneaky also. He's going to be buried in ownership. His price is really low. 6-7 is low. He's coming off a bad game. He was 6-2 against Denver. That was trappy, and it was, but still a really good price for a guy that goes 40 fairly often. Projects pretty well for us, too. I'm sure I'll get some shares of him. I don't know how much between Levine and Holiday and the other guys kind of soaking it up, but I'm going to make sure to get some because if Dame, regardless if Dame does well or not, CJ could still do well, but if somebody struggles, then you would think CJ would be the next one to kind of step it up after Lillard and Whiteside. And Whiteside more so for rebounds, blocks, things like that. The Spurs give up a ton of points in the paint. Carmelo Anthony's my least favorite. Doesn't mean I don't think you should play him. I think on FanDuel at 5-3, that's a very friendly price for him. He hasn't done a whole ton lately. You know what it is, but he's a shooter. He's at home. If the shots are falling, we know he's playing big minutes. We know he's capable of grabbing rebounds. The Spurs aren't exactly a big team either. Not a great rebounding team either. So I'm okay with it. But the Portland side looks pretty good. And I am going to have a lot of Dame. I'll have a lot of Whiteside. And I'm going to make sure that I get more McCollum as well than what I have currently. I got to go check that shit. And then we got one more game, right? The big game of the night. Big highlight game of the night. Marcel Larkin, Jordan Bell for value tonight. Jordan Bell, I believe, got traded again. So I don't think so. Jordan Bell, I believe, got traded again. Shout out to you, David Torrey. I see 170 watching and only 38 likes. Hit that like button. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you spreading the message. It does help us. I appreciate it, David. You're in here all the time, man. Jason says I like Dame. He projects the best for me. I'm with you, bro. Let's go. Dame City. I'm sure Paulie would agree on that. You can see where I was at. I made the thumbnails today. It was Whiteside in the morning, Dame at nights, and then the flexing, all that stuff. So Nick says, any news on RJ Barrett? I still haven't heard anything. I'm sure we're going to hear it at some point. They put out news earlier. They just don't want to commit. I'll say this, though. I'm not going to make any guesses if he's playing or not, but I will say this. He returned to practice in full, so he has practiced fully. So if you think that helps his chances of playing, which it should in theory, but doesn't mean it will, take that for what it's worth. He did practice. Now, even if he plays, will there be a minutes limitation? I don't know. He could just come in and just screw everything up. He's also very cheap and would be interesting if he does play without any limitations because he's like 5K. So I'll keep you guys posted as soon as I hear anything. Appreciate y'all. All right. Oh, there you go. Look at that little spurt in the likes. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. We got the last game here. We've got Houston visiting the Lakers. Game of the night, late night hammer, right? Highest total on the board by a pretty good margin. 238.5 total. And interestingly enough, like the ownership is kind of in question. We just got through a lot of games. We got through a lot of good plays. And you have this late night hammer action all by itself. Oh, I got the wrong team as the home team. Let me flip-flop this. Go Houston. Houston Rockets at the Lakers. 238.5 total. It's risen 4.5 points. I know some of that is because Westbrook was ruled in. The Lakers are 7-point favorites at home. I'm going to put up the schedule notes. Houston has had a day off. This is the front end of a back-to-back for them. So I would expect Westbrook to not play tomorrow. If they say he's going to play today, I'm expecting Westbrook to not play tomorroh. So those of you that have the itch to play Harden, maybe you wait till tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying. There's not a lot of value, though. It'd be hard to play him today at 12-4. With that said, Lakers have had a day off. They're home. They haven't traveled much. I think their travel involved going to Sacramento and beating the shit out of the Kings. I think that was it. Starting with the Rockets, we talked about Harden. He's very expensive. There's not a lot of value. He'll be very low owned tonight. If you want Harden at low ownership, you will get it tonight. The problem, of course, is Russell Westbrook is expected to play. They also went and got Covington. Oh, we just got some Chicago news. Let me just check this real quick, guys, so I can inform you. I think it's stuff we expected, but it's nice when you get it official. Yeah, so Daniel Gafford ruled out as we thought. Denzel Valentine ruled out as we thought. Nothing to change on the projection end. Holla. So Russell Westbrook has also been on a tear. I think he's interesting. He's probably, I mean, he's actually $100 cheaper than Dame. It shows you how far Dame has come. But Westbrook, I do think it's interesting, and I'm starting to think. I mean, honestly, Westbrook's ownership is pretty much always low, right? Like since he's been on the Rockets, like after a slow start, people just kind of stop playing him. I mean, I see him and Westbrook pretty close in a lot of these. I'm sorry, him and Dame. He is Westbrook. I can't say I disagree with that. I think it does actually make sense. So, obviously, if I'm going to play one of these guys, it's Westbrook. I just don't like the value enough to reach Harden. Like, I'm already having a hard enough time liking the guys that I already committed to, like Kobe White and Chandler Hutchison. I don't want to have to go find more. It's just not what I'm feeling. But so Harden, I don't think I get to. But Westbrook, I think I can find ways to get some shares. Now, it may reduce some of my Dame shares, so I don't know how I feel about it. But I mean, late night hammer, I love getting exposure to these late games, man. I love it. Now, there's already a guy that I have a lot of exposure to in this game, but he's on the other side. Robert Covington is here. We don't know what kind of role he's going to play. I'm assuming he's just going to kind of hop into the role House was playing and just go from there because they still don't have a center. Earlier, we had the little discussion about Hartenstein. Maybe they need him today. I don't know. They've needed him. They didn't need him against Gobert. They haven't used him against anybody. He played like 5 or 6 minutes last game. Against Utah, he played 5 or 6 minutes, so they seem perfectly content going with P.J. Tucker at center. And again, we compared Anthony Davis more to the Porzingis type rather than the Gobert. Gobert's not a jump shooter, so if you can stop him from getting to the rim by standing in the way, drawing some charges, you may be able to get away with that. You're going to get out rebounded like terribly, but maybe you get away with it. But guys like Porzingis or Anthony Davis, for that matter, guys that can actually shoot, they're just going to turn around and shoot over your head. They're just going to turn around and just shoot right over you. So, on the Lakers side, we'll get into it. That's a little spoiler alert that I like Anthony Davis today. But on the Rockets side, I really don't know what they're going to do. But maybe there's more boards to go around for Covington and Tucker. I don't know. Maybe that means Westbrook is going to be hyper-aggressive on the boards. The Lakers are a really big team, and Houston has no size. So this is a weird matchup. But Covington being there, Westbrook playing kind of messes up the value options because now you're not really sure what you're going to see rotationally. All you really know is P.J. Tucker's going to play a ton. I'm not paying 6'2" for P.J. Tucker. I don't give a damn what he did against Charlotte. That's Charlotte anyway. I don't give a damn. I'm not paying 6'2" for P.J. Tucker. No, sir. Eric Gordon with Westbrook, and I'm just not interested in anything, really. It's Westbrook, and that's pretty much it. Harden, if he was cheap, sure. Like on FanDuel, I'm okay with Harden, actually, right? But on DraftKings, I don't know, 12-4 steep. So on the Lakers side, I gave you the spoiler alert that I'm kind of into Anthony Davis, AD. The price is way too low on both sides. I know his minutes have been a little inconsistent lately. They've been involved in a lot of blowouts. But if you saw against Portland, he played like 39 minutes. So there's no kind of minutes limit. I think if this game is close, and I'm hoping the Rockets can keep it close enough for long enough, AD is going to be a matchup nightmare for him. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So I got his minutes projected a little up. This is also a pace-up spot. I wanted to make sure that I was reflective of how I felt about him, so I got some in there. And again, if this game is competitive, which I built this to be competitive, the projections in this game, then I do think AD could play upwards of 36.5 to 37, maybe even 38 minutes. So LeBron, I'm cool with as well. Obviously, I got no problems with LeBron. Positionally, again, he's because of the point guard eligibility. On FanDuel, obviously, he's kind of on an island, being at small forward. On DraftKings, positionally, again, it affects like your Dame and Westbrook shares and all that. So it's you got to see how it ties in. But I'm cool with him. Anthony Davis, though, is the preference. It's just, again, a matchup nightmare for him. Not that the matchup's bad for LeBron by any stretch, but AD is significantly cheaper, obviously. Kyle Kuzma played 30 minutes against the Spurs. He seems to only really get 30 in blowouts, but again, Houston's lack of size. If for any reason the Lakers do try to go a little smaller and play AD at the 5, that could open up some more minutes for Kuzma. Kuzma's done the dirty to these guys, so it's not set up to where I'd get a ton. On FanDuel at 4,500, I'd be willing to get a lot more, and the projections reflect that. You can see a 5K on DraftKings, only 4.46x, not going to get a lot. 5.46x, not going to get a ton. On FanDuel at 5.75, you might actually get some, and I'm fine with it at 4.5. I'm cool with it for tournaments. As far as the bigs, McGee really hasn't seen a ton of minutes. Dwight can certainly smash in this spot at low ownership. Again, it's just hard to project what they're going to do with that minutes-wise, but that's pretty much it, man. I'm not going crazy. I'm not trying to jam in Rondo or any of these guys. I think we have value plays from elsewhere that hopefully by the time we get to this game, they've already done well for me, and it's just a matter of sweating AD and maybe some Westbrook. I don't know. But late night hammer, always good to get exposed to late night hammer so you're not depressed and going only backwards at the end. Are we getting some news up in here? Yeah, Bulls value just got better. Agreed, because of, I'm assuming you mean, that's why I had him graded so high with Valentine and Gafford out. We still don't have the RJ Barrett news, but don't worry, guys. We're going to be here for another hour. We're going to lead you up to lock. So we get that news, we will let you guys know for sure. With that said, we're going to take a little break here. You don't got to go anywhere. Just going to flip to a little pause screen, play some background music while we set up for the next portion of the show. I'm going to bring on Pauly D, talk some game theory. We'll get his opinion on the slate, what his approach is for tournaments tonight. Hopefully answer some questions if we have time. Obviously, it gets a little wild. He is expected to play Paul Holderman. Is that RJ Barrett we're talking about? We'll let you know when we get back. I'm assuming talking about RJ Barrett. Oh, Twitter is funny. We'll see, Paul. We'll be back in a second. I'm going nowhere, guys. Going to bring on Paul. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. Appreciate those of you that are rocking with us. Give us a couple minutes. We'll be right back. What up, nation? We are back with the GOAT, the true OG, Pauly D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 of them bitches. Paulie, what's happening?
What's happening? What's going down?
Oh,
Trade deadline over. Thank you.
It's a good feeling, right? It's a good feeling to not have to be. You know, unfortunately, we're still waiting out the RJ Barrett news, which is pretty important. But it's the first game, so I'm optimistic. We're gonna get it with plenty of time. We still got 7 minutes to lock, so. I think we'll get it. What are your overall thoughts today going into this, man? I like the size of the slate, everything like that. What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good slate because there's no 60% value play out there that is blowing off the page. So you're gonna have to work hard to get the players you want. A little bummed that Russ Westbrook got ruled in because I think the field was gonna desperately try to get Harden, and now he's probably going to be a 15% kind of interesting play, but it's real hard to get him. Probably increasing the ownership on guys like AD and Dame, unfortunately. Small slate, interesting. Couple plays that I like, I think, are a little contrarian. Couple things I like that I think are fairly obvious. You just got to do them. I like it. I'm happy with it,
Fair enough. Let's get into we'll start at the top, man. We got a lot of studs today. There's some slates we haven't had a ton of studs. We got a lot to choose from today considering it's a smaller slate. Why don't you rank for me or talk to me about some of the studs you like and why?
All right, so I like Dame Lillard the best. Surprise, surprise. He did let us down last game, but that's probably a good thing. If he would have smashed there, he would have been extremely popular today. The field probably jumps off. It's not really an attractive game, perceptionally, but I think it's an awesome game if you've been paying attention to DFS. Portland's been one of the best teams to target for DFS. So, the guys on the Spurs, generally interesting, and I don't think the field's really into them that much. After Dame, I'm kind of torn. Well, let me ask you this. Where am I cutting off? Because
I would say cut it off at 9K because the guys in the 8s, they're in their own kind of tier. So I would say cut it off at 9K.
Okay. All right. Because I didn't know about Levine and Randall. So if we're cutting it off at 9, then it's a two-way tie for me between Giannis and Embiid at second place. I like the idea of trying to get them both very difficult. And then it's LeBron, AD, Harden, Russ for me.
Yeah, one thing I will say, going back to what you said about you were a little bummed that Harden was in, on the bright side, that may lower the ownership at least a little bit of Dame because they're all in that same price range. So at least, right? Because
I thought it would increase it because
they don't have to play Harden
instead of Harden being 50-60%. Yeah, they don't need to play Harden anymore.
So you think that they'll just feel like they don't want Russ at all. So, and if that's the case, then Russ should be really low owned tonight, which I agree with. I think he will be really low owned tonight.
Yep.
As far as the games, I like the Portland game also. Unfortunately, it's trending down while the Laker game is trending up. I like plays in the Portland game a little stronger. I like LaMarcus Aldridge. I like Dame. I like Whiteside. But I am feeling man, the more I think about it, maybe I do want to get more exposure somehow to this game. I have a lot of AD. In terms of that late game, how are you going to approach Late Night Hammer tonight?
I don't really like much, there's nothing on Houston attractive price-wise, usage, opening up, I don't know. I don't see anything on Houston that I like. Lakers, I think AD's in a great spot. he hasn't gone off nearly as much as I thought he would. Like, I thought LeBron would take like a second seat to him, but LeBron doesn't do that. Um, I can get behind guys like Kyle Kuzma. I really like Dwight Howard today. I think he's like the sneakiest, highest upside value play. Like, I don't know how Houston's going to defend bigs right now. And, he's been getting solid minutes where JaVale has to like smash in like 15. Dwight Howard's getting close to like 25, 30 a game. And I think when he's on the court, he's just going to, do whatever he kind of wants, double upside, that kind of stuff. So I like those guys. One of LeBron or AD, but honestly, I think the Lakers blow them out.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. And also, we had mentioned that the Rockets do play tomorrow, so that's someday. D'Antoni's not one to pull his guys in a blowout. But as far as Russell Westbrook goes, like, and the more we go on, the more interested I'm getting into him, just simply for ownership purposes. We did get the starting lineup, by the way, for the Knicks. RJ Barrett's available to play, but he's not starting, so he should be coming off the bench. They're starting Frank Nitti alongside Elfrid Payton. So we've got Elf, Frank Ntilikina, Reggie Bullock, Julius Randle, and Taj Gibson as the starting lineup. We'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But going back to Westbrook real quick before I jump around too much, the fact that he's not playing tomorrow, do you think that has anything to do with him, maybe even if this game isn't so close, just kind of letting him hang around and just letting him go in there and do his thing, being that he missed a game or so? Or do you think they're more likely to say, nah, he's nursed an injury, let's just say fuck it? I mean, it's D'Antoni. Normally, we know he likes to play his guys. But Westbrook's interesting to me, and then the ownership,
I'll say this. Like, I think if the game does stay close, it's because Westbrook has a really good game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think Harden could have a good game on huge volume and they just, still get blown out. You know what I mean? But if Westbrook has that very good game, it's probably because they went down to the wire. He got all those minutes, got to that triple-double, and he kept Houston in it. But I'm blown away that they didn't go out and get any size. Like, they were really going to go forward with PJ Tucker as their biggest player. Like,
bro, you could have got Drummond for a bag of peanuts, apparently.
For nothing. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Man, bro, like, Chris Clemens was the key. They could have just traded Chris Clemens for that dude. They probably would have taken it.
Yeah. Like, they didn't even want Drummond, but they were like, "You're gonna give him to us for what?"
I'll take it if it's free. Shit. You know what I mean? All right, then shit. Going back to the Knicks now, who we know they got rid of. We'll get into the mids here. I know we went from the studs, and I'm jumping around. I'm just trying to get into news as it comes and get a reaction. So Reggie Bullock will start. Obviously, he's been sick, but he's going to start. A lot of the Knicks are sick. RJ Barrett's available to play, but he is going to come off the bench. Talk to me about the Knicks situation in general. Frank Nitti going to start at the 2, it looks like. What are you looking at in the lowest total? The lowest total game on the slate. However, a pretty big chunk of the team missing in terms of usage and minutes with Marcus Morris being gone.
Yeah, like, I actually like the game a little bit more than I probably should because I really like Elf, Randall, and like supporting cast guys. Mitchell Robinson. I really like DSJ today. You might have to talk me off of that, but I think he'll see like Marcus Morris was a big usage guy, big minutes. That's a lot to go around. And, starting Nitti at the 2 kind of tells me that, DSJ is going to get solid minutes with solid usage without Elf most likely on the court. And if he does play with Elf, that's even better. Like he'll be a shooter, not a facilitator. So, I like the cheap supporting Knicks. I love Randall, like one of my favorite plays on the slate. And Elf Revenge, just like, probably going to do a bit more. Like, my biggest concern with Elf was the minutes and like the shot volume. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of had to be efficient and, to smash. He's only really smashed that one time last game, but there's like enough boxes being checked to point to like, at least he goes for 40 plus today if they don't get like blown out or something like that. So I like the Knicks side. And then, on Orlando, I would be more than fine running back 1 or 2 of those guys. And realistically, anyone on the starting 5 outside of like Iwundu, I have interest in. And then like from the bench, I like Michael Carter and Terrence Ross like quite a bit. none of them except Randall I'll have real high ownership to, but I don't think it's something I'm going to like have less than like 10% of either. I think I'll be like in the 20 to 30 range on a lot of those guys I just talked about.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. It seems like at every price point there are pivots available, so it seems like a slate where it's a little tougher to take like real strong, like 80, 90% stands on, especially with the actual skill players, players not including like the value guys. Let's get into that mid tier. You mentioned you like Randall a lot. I would imagine he's going to be crazy low owned because of his price. Even on a projection standpoint, like you have to consider the fact that Marcus Morris is gone, and I think that's where there's going to be some disconnect between certain projections and where he stands. I'm getting some. I'm obviously not getting as much as you right now. I'm willing to make some adjustments to his projection to get a little bit more. Talk to me about some of the other players, though, in his price range that you're interested in. And that, like, we'll cut it off at, like, say, 7. We'll cut it off at DeRozan, 7-9, separated by itself.
So below 9 to 7-9? Yeah. Okay. This is actually a pretty deep range, for only $1,000. Like, some of my favorite plays are in this range, to be honest with you. And it's like, I'm going to have to make a couple tough decisions. I'm kind of realizing because I'm going to get so much Dame, like I'm not going to be able to get that many of these guys. But, Zach LaVine really stands out to me, right? No anybody, like, he's the only guy that like will do a lot, So like his price is down. This guy was in the 9s recently. He's showing us 30% and higher usage most games, almost, 20 to 30 shot attempts, double-digit threes, getting assists, getting rebounds, just doing it all because he's the only good player left on the team that's healthy against a pace-up opponent that doesn't play any D. Like, it just really looks like a good spot, like slight concerns about them getting blown out, but they're home and they're only 5-point dogs. So Vegas ain't worried about that or isn't positioning for that. So he makes sense. Randall's my favorite, just think he's going to have huge usage, going to have a ceiling in attempts and rebounds, all that good shit. Ben Simmons, like, really cheap price tag, very attractive to me. Like, we've seen Embiid and Giannis go at it in this matchup multiple times, and so I lean Embiid a little bit. But, like, for every 2 shares of Embiid, I think I'll go 1 share of Simmons because one of those two I foresee having a good game, getting paced way up in a division rival, like possible preview of the Eastern Conference Finals, like him too, right? The field loves Whiteside. I can't blame him. Spurs give up a lot of points in the paint. He's just playing tons of minutes. They, have no other size just yet, but it is on the way. And then DeRozan's been doing it all for the Spurs. I don't love his price, but again, like you could play him and LMA today totally fine. And like, don't think you should ignore him. So the only guy I'm not that into is Vooch. And honestly, I don't have anything really bad to say about him. It's just, he's the last of this group, which I would say Randall, Simmons or LaVine. I haven't decided yet. I'm like, I want to say LaVine. That's where I was earlier, but Simmons is kind of, keeps like picking at my, like, I'm like, man, I should play more of that. 8K, that's too low. Like, I would think his floor is 40 unless they lose by 30 here. Then Whiteside, DeRozan, Vooch.
Dude, I'm with you on Philly in general, man. All 3 of them. I mean, Simmons the most. Simmons is the one I'm going to have the most of from Philly. This game could go south, man. They got their teeth kicked in the last 3 games on the road. They're just terrible on the road. But the prices have come down to a point where even if they get blown out, they could still hit value. Like they might not, I'm not saying maybe Simmons doesn't go for 60 because they got destroyed, but you can mean to tell me you don't think he can get 50 and even 35, 34 minutes for a guy that's playing like 38 to 40 minutes a game in close games. So I'm with you, man. I think that range is interesting because it's pretty deep between Whiteside, between Simmons, and all the other players that we'd mentioned, LaVine, Julius Randle, who's going to go very low owned. I'm trying to find ways to get a little bit more from as we speak. I'm with you. Talk to me about value, man. We don't have a lot of it. Ownership's got to be concentrated on a couple dudes just because we don't have a lot. At least I think. You talk to me. What do you think?
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, nothing really stands out. DraftKings is kind of like forcing White from Chicago onto us with that low price, with how much minutes and usage he's been getting. But it's not really a guy that, like, I'm dying to get a ton of. I don't think he's like a lock for 5, 6X. And, you really want 7X out of a guy like that. To me, the value plays are like between 4, 3 and 5K. Like Derek Favors at 5K, Kyle Kuzma at 5K, Dwight Howard, I really like, Mitchell Robinson, Dante DiVincenzo. We just heard George Hill's ruled out. Chandler Hutchinson, Trevor Ariza, that grouping of guys. I like Dennis Smith Jr. I think you could take a stab at Rajon Rondo, who seems to be like, back into more serious minutes. And, I like Michael Carter Williams at 3.9. I think one of the Knicks bigs, like Bobby Portis, not bigs, but forwards, Bobby Portis or Knox is worth a look. JJ Redick's price is ridiculously low. Maybe we take a shot on one of these Milwaukee guards like Pat Connaughton or Wes Matthews or like Kyle Korver, but none of those really get you excited. Cristiano Di Felicio at 3K at 3,100, I think has to play around 22 to 26 minutes today. He played 33 games ago, 22 games ago. They got big boys, Favors and Williamson. And, I don't see how they throw fucking skinny Luke Cornett at that. And Thad Young is really a 4. So, like, I see him getting a lot of minutes and, getting you at least 7X, right? Getting you that 20. So, like, I like him too, right? But none of these guys am I really that interested in. And I think, like I said, it's really like the 4.2 to 5K range where you have, like, the safer, more interesting options, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I'm perplexed with Kobe White. He's not my favorite value play. My favorite is in that game, and it's Chandler Hutchison. Kobe White, I'm nervous. Like he's got the ceiling and the upside. He's going to be popular, so I'm going to have a good amount. But definitely not a guy you want to.
Yeah, he's not a guy you want popular.
Yeah.
You want him at 3% when he goes for 10X.
Yeah, the variance is strong. Like it's strong. Like even at this price, he can hurt you. Now I think he's gonna. This is a good position in general, so I'm not trying to talk anybody off. But like not a guy that you want to like lock button. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say. It's just like things can go wrong. He is a guy that can actually hurt you. If he gives you like a 12 because he shot 1 for 12. Now again, he can also make you. He's got if he hits all those threes, he could fucking make you. So again, this isn't like, oh, I think he's a bad play. This is just something of where you want to see it for what it is, and this isn't like a, the Bulls are thin. He's still a bench player. He's still somebody that was not in the closing lineup. He came in garbage time in the last game. Just things to consider when waiting him. But I will have a good amount of him, just not,
So like,
all of them.
Like with him, if he gets you a 24, 6X, that's great, right? But if Satoransky gets you a 35, that's better. You know what I mean? And like, I think there's a lot of guys in the 4.5 to 6.5 range that can get that 35 to 40 score and make, White's 22 kind of obsolete on the slate. Like you still need White to get you 26 plus, I think, to be like, yeah, that was a good play.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like the raw points have to factor in, and especially for the build that you're looking for right now, because you're not going aside from Dame, you're not going way to the top. You're going with like studs that are like mid-tier studs, and so you don't need that 3,800 value as much. Like you're good with like a 5K value, with a 4,500 value, etc. So I think that does make sense, for sure. So, yeah. So in general, just like. I guess in that sense, like, who are some of the guys that you're looking to hang your hat on, I guess, like, as far as how much you're looking to roster? Like, I guess give me, like, better yet, who is your favorite value play? Who's number one?
I think it's Dwight Howard.
How many minutes do you think he gets?
Yeah.
I jacked up his projection because you said that, by the way, so I'm trying to find ways to get him in.
Right. Well, 23.
23. That's about what I ended up giving him to raise him a little bit there.
Yeah. Right. Like the last close
He's
game they
got
really
again.
played.
Man, I say this just because it's something that happens, but he's got phenomenal history against this team. He's done dirties to this team, like professional dirties.
Yeah. And like the last, they don't play him in blowouts, right? They want to preserve his health. The last couple close games was like Brooklyn and the Knicks, January 23rd. He played 23-27. Close game against Houston, 25. Close game against Orlando, 26. Like, I think he'll, in a close game, play that range, so. But yeah, it's not safe. That's like a combination of low ownership, high upside spot for me. Right, I'm probably cool with your Chandler Hutchinson. I do like Felicio. Michael Carter Williams, I do like. Dennis Smith Jr., I do kind of like. I'm trying not to, but he keeps kind of showing up for me as like showing up in terms of like when I'm looking through the options. Like I think his usage and the likelihood that he sees a usage boost today, it makes sense to me,
No, I get it.
Trevor Ariza is sitting there at 4-3. We know he's going to play 30 minutes at least, against San Antonio. Not something I'm super excited about, but I feel like, he's not going to hurt you much.
No, I agree. I talked about him earlier as well. I don't disagree. I mean, he's the same price range as Hutchison. And he's the number 5 option on the team, but he could end up being one of the minute leaders today. He's just a guy they kind of leave out there for a defense and to kind of stand by the 3-point line at all times. So I think it makes sense. I mean, how many minutes do you think Ariza plays today? Probably a ton.
32?
32, right? Probably like on a minimum, right?
Yeah.
Shit. All right, then bet.
He's not really technically valued, but Thaddeus Young is probably my favorite, close to value player.
It seems like they're just gonna need him, right? Like, it's the bottom line.
Like 32 minutes, big usage, getting paced up. Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all. I felt the same. I mean, I'm not gonna go as far as saying it's my favorite. Like, I was looking like I'm obviously that position is loaded. I mean, I'm having a hard enough time fitting in the Randall I want between Anthony Davis and LaMarcus Aldridge and all these other options that are there. Zion, It's a very competitive position, but that's the issue. If for a shorter slate, man, it's a smaller slate. It's pretty fucking deep. Like there's a lot to run through. Run mill. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Run mill.
We got somebody in the chat who's with you on the DSJ. He just said Dennis Smith Jr. Anyone? Kyle Miller. Paulie, talk about DSJ. I know that you don't want to talk like everybody, off the moon with it and all that kind of stuff. But talk about DSJ a little bit. I know you're interested in tournaments. I know you're someone who's very comfortable taking these big risks, and it's paid off for you in the past a bunch. We've seen it happen a bunch of times. Talk about DSJ. Obviously, not something that you're willing to core up, but you seem to have some interest for your tournament purposes.
No core, but I think 25%, right? Like, 2 games ago he played 27. He started. Alf was off, right? Last game though he played 20 in a close game against Cleveland. 30% usage, 11 shots, 6 assists, 4 steals. Don't expect that to happen all the time, but even you take those away, he still got you 27 at 3-6. He's 4-2, and now Marcus Morris is gone. A major gaping hole for them to fill. The guy that we'd be like worried about, Frank Lena, taking minutes away, he's now starting, right? So he's like, I think we get 20 minutes out of him at similar usage, and he's not chalk, so he shouldn't, ruin your life.
He's not chalk, so he shouldn't. That's how it works, right? When they're not chalk, they shouldn't ruin your life. I'm with you. Oh damn, man. Don't tell me this. Any interest in Pat Connaughton, man? He's played big minutes. He's 3,400 with George Hill out.
Yes. George Hill's out. I think I go to DiVincenzo first, but yeah, Connaughton, good rebounder for being a small white guy. And I feel like he's got heart. Like, he shows up in big games like this. Like, you can get a reliable 20 minutes out of him, and you won't have, like, did you see D'Angelo Russell's plus minus yesterday, by the way?
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, damn.
Did you see
it? It was minus 40.
Minus 40, 48. Like, yeah. Pat Connaughton won't ever be a part of a minus 48 plus minus, like.
He'll never be a part of that. He'll never be a part of a 48 plus minus. Oh, man. Gotta love it.
But that's a dart. Like Kevin Knox, like all these fucking plays. And I think I'm just going to take all of those value names I said and, put them in the blender and say, give me between 10 and 25 of all these guys and hope to find the right combination.
No, I feel you. It definitely it's a lot easier to say, oh, I like XYZ at this tier, in the mid tier. I like this stud. It's a little easier to take those stands to say, oh, I like this, than it is right now to hang your hat on some of the value options that we have. I mean, definitely. I got to make some adjustments. It started like I just ran a crunch and it started forcing in a bunch of Pat Connaughton out of nowhere. I'm just like, oh shit, now I got, you know what I mean? Because obviously that means it's taken away from someone else. But I just made an adjustment that, should be all right. I want some. I just don't want to overreact and get,
Right, because they got Kyle Korver, they got the kid DiVincenzo, like Wes Matthews, who you never ever want to play, but
no, for sure,
he's there.
Oh, he's there. He did pretty well last time, douche. Dingleberry. Talk to me about cash games, optimal plays, I guess. Who would you consider to be optimal plays for the people out there looking to play some cash?
Ooh.
Hit you with it hard.
Shoot. Yeah, so I guess he's throwing Kobe White up in that.
Shoot.
LMA, right? 6'2". I think 6'2". Got to play that, right?
Shoot.
Yum, get you some. Shoot. I guess LeBron. Who's projected to be the most popular stud now? Embiid?
Let's see. No, it depends on where you look, man. I see LeBron. I see, right? I see LeBron. So that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I guess, right? Like,
the Rockets play zero fucking defense. The Lakers are, it don't make a ton of sense, but shoot, right? Who else? Man, this is a little bit harder than usual, this question.
Yeah, a bunch of different ways you can go, you know what I mean? Whole bunch.
This shit ain't right. Why is this happening, dude? Bro, I may need your help with the cheat sheet right quick.
Well, what's wrong with it?
Can you just put it in there? I don't know. I'm doing the steps and it's just it's not. I'm adding media and it's not uploading, so I can't.
Yeah, go ahead. Just pull up one of the
everything.
Pull up one of the chats. Talk to the nation a little bit. Give them some dirties. I'll take care of this.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm gonna go to the WiseTake one first. If there's any questions. We'll get back to that cash game thing once I just open the chats because we only gave you a couple bodies. Yum, get you some. I was in the portion of the website where I post the content, so bear with me a second. I will hop in that chat, hop in that chat, do the dirty. If you're trying to kill a few seconds like I am, hit the like button. We'll appreciate that. Kuzma in cash from Wig. I don't think you can play Kuzma in cash. I'd rather play Satoransky for similar price. I'd rather play Thad Young for similar price. So I'd say no. MG says Dame, Redick, Knox, Giannis, Felicio, Connaughton, Aldridge, and Embiid. I don't know what that's in relation to. All right. So, Wig, I'd say Kuzma's a no for cash. I think he's more of just a GPP guy today. YouTube. Let's open that up. YouTube. And then let me get a quick refresh on this ownership. But Hassan Whiteside, there you go. That's another guy I think is going to make sense in cash, right? Like, we don't have this strong value. So I don't know if, like, any stud is going to be, like, super popular today, right? So, like, LMA, Hassan Whiteside, Kobe White, Thad Young. I'm seeing Reggie Bullock. I don't like that at all, but okay. Evan Fournier I could deal with in cash. Trevor Ariza I could deal with in cash. And then like one of AD, LeBron, or Zach LaVine, I think kind of is your stud in cash today. All right. YouTube, 266 people watching live. Let's go.
How many likes, though? How many likes, though? Wait, come on. We got to raise that up.
60 likes.
Let's go.
That's 25%.
Let's go.
You know? But yeah,
let's go.
What is the best game mode to play? I don't know what that question actually means, game mode, but I think classic would be my answer. You know, the standard. I don't really like all the gimmick ones all that much. If I didn't answer that question right, just kind of divulge a little more. Let me know what you're talking about. Question is Levine or DeRozan from UK Cat 111. I say Levine. Lonzo or Elf Payton? I'd say Elf, but that's very close for me. You know, very, very close. Like, Elf's price is kind of caught up to him where, like, if he doesn't get that triple-double, like, he's not going to really get much more than, like, a 40-43 at 7-3. That's barely 6X. So, you know, Lonzo Ball's been consistently getting up over 40, and he also has triple-double upside. Are you guys profitable overall? I would say on a year-to-year basis, it varies. Like, this year, I am profitable. Last year, I was not. 3 years ago, I was extremely profitable. 4 years ago, I was extremely profitable. All our shit's on, like, RG. You know, like, right now, I think I'm, like, 200 and change overall amongst, like, 20,000 people for the month in my weight class. CK's like similar. You know, CK's ranked like 1200th overall. I'm like 18th to 1800 or some shit like that. Like, we're pretty solid. I think our content is better than our play. You know, like, we're just donkey hunting right now. You know, I don't play cash. It's too hard to really play like a ton of shit while doing this content leading up to lock. So we've just been doing the MME thing and trying to take first in a large field tournament and then start exploring. But you know, all my shit's out there. You could see what I play. I'm in the contest where you could see all my exposures every single night. If you go to like RG's database, you know, the slate databases or stuff like that. And I think we rank pretty well. How's Hart looking tonight? You know, we didn't really talk about Hart very much. You know, you got Hart, you got Reddick, you've got, you know, even to a lesser degree, what's that dude's name? I actually took him out of my player pool, but he was on the Bulls. He's a shooting guard on the Pelicans, and his name is Antoine Moore. You know, those three guys, like, you know, with everyone else healthy and Zion coming around, like, Josh Hart's played really well. His price is 49. So even like, you know, he's got to get to 30. It's fine. I'm cool with it. I prefer DiVincenzo.
Cheat sheet.
Similar price
Cheat
range.
sheet is posted, by the way. Cheat sheet is good to go for those of you who subscribe to WiseTake.com.
Yeah. All right. You know, highest top player in the cheat sheet is Damian Lillard. Surprise, surprise. Going for 75 tonight. Holla. I'm playing 100% of them.
Are you really locking them in today? Let's go. Let's go, bro. I'm with it, man. I'm not gonna lock in 100, Dame, but I just couldn't. There was too many other guard players, but I respect it. You know me, man. I'm all about it, man. Go get it. You know, if you get that right over the field that much, you know.
Yeah. just curious what he's, when Harden was just going to be that guy, it was easy.
Right.
All right, more questions though. What side are you on? Both of us mainly play on DraftKings. 2 years ago, it was mainly FanDuel. Made the switch. I really enjoy DraftKings more. I think I could win more on FanDuel, but I just don't like FanDuel, especially basketball. I can't deal with the late swap shit. What is the best game mode to make money? Definitely, 50-50s head-to-heads where you only have to beat 50% of the field. But I really think MME is your best way to make money long-term and to stay afloat, right? Like, you can play the 5-cent 150 max on FanDuel for $7.50 with like 500-600 up top every single day and, get a good rush out of it, especially when you have a sweat. And say you do that every single day, 30 days, that's $210 if you lost every single dollar every day. Like, that's affordable. And you get a couple wins and you can maybe move up in stake. So, I think MME is truly the best format and your best chance to win. Right? Playing 3-4 lineups, very, very difficult. I honestly wish that I stopped playing 3 to 5 lineups a lot longer ago. I was just resistant to MME. But now that I've made that switch, I've honestly been significantly more consistent. My deposits have gone down by like 75%. Does Hartenstein or Chandler get run? Honestly, that is like only if you're doing MME, you have 150 teams, you want to get 5% of one of them, and really Hartenstein. Like, even if Chandler does, it's never going to be enough to really be worth it. But at this point, we have to see them play to really put any ownership behind either of them. Like, Hartenstein should have gotten plenty of run the last few games, and he hasn't. So I don't see why it would today, except for the fact that the Lakers are really big. But, I think the Rockets' plan is to just try to run teams off the court. And the Rockets are probably going to be the fastest team in basketball by the end of the season, pace-wise. So, playing the guys that are going against them is probably going to be profitable the rest of the way. 82 smash FanDuel. Yeah, he's in a smash spot. I'll play Dame every night the rest of the year. Dude is a monster. Oh yeah. Bet Portland to win the championship. 10,000 to 1 right now. Tucker's going to get bullied. I agree. Shaq Harrison love. None for me. What is MME? How do I play? That is too long to answer with 21 minutes to lock. But MME is mass multi-entry, 20 entry max, 150 max. It's, playing a shit ton of teams. Bledsoe, Horford, or Favors from UK Cat 111. I would say out of that group, I like Favors the best. Then Bledsoe, then Horford. Let me check back to the Ystream chat. DiVincenzo and Cash from Week 3. Yeah, it seems like you need a guy in that range. Yeah, I'd say him. Yeah, I could do that, especially if okay. All right, back to YouTube. Ntilikina Stars and Scrubs. I don't ever like Ntilikina. Isaiah Battles. Kevin Knox going to see the court. I think he definitely sees the court. And very likely doesn't do much when he does, although he has looked a little bit better lately in limited time. So, I'm going to have 10% Kevin Knox. MC Dubs, Michael Carter Williams, or DSJ? How would you answer that, CK? Since you didn't hanging on your feet.
Yeah, sorry. I'm going to end up with more Michael Carter Williams, most likely, because he's got a role that we know. DSJ, I'm confident he will play. I just don't know how much. That's really where I'm at. In that if he's not playing well, the Knicks I think the Knicks don't have a problem just pulling him to the side with RJ Barrett available. But with that said, I think DSJ is going to be a little bit more aggressive with the ball. So if I had to pick one, if I have to pick, it's Michael Carter Williams, but not by a lot. And I'm kind of with you, and then I'm starting to not like that. I got the Kobe White, but I'm not, I think Patty Mills is probably my favorite pivot. I know that's not the question, but I'm not loving that that whole situation.
So I've noticed the Spurs, they kind of they have those 4 guards, right? DeJounte, Forbes, Mills, and White. And, like, they run Forbes with DeJounte, they start, and then Mills and White off the bench. But Mills and White have been closing the close games. And you want the guys closing, right? Because then they're going to play in overtime if it gets there. Down the stretch, the scoring really picks up the last 5 minutes of games, usually when they're close. You always want the guys that are closing. So, like, yeah, I'm definitely cool with Patty Mills. All right, lots of questions flowing in. Love Vucevic and Peyton. They're all right, in my opinion. I like guys more, but, yeah, I'd have some. Player to start your line with in DraftKings, Damian Lillard.
I knew that was coming.
Giannis.
You knew that was coming.
I mean, yeah, Giannis or Harden on FanDuel. Definitely Giannis, in my opinion. FanDuel is not really a great scoring system for Harden, although his steals and blocks have increased. But Giannis can really smash over there with a big steal and block game. Randall usage will increase today, yes. Joel Embiid, should smash, has done extremely well in this matchup with the exception of the last game. He's one of my favorite studs. Mitchell Robinson, is he a solid play? Absolutely. Yes. Your number one value point guard. So the number one value point guard is gonna be, I want to say Satoransky, but that might be cheating because he's 5'4". If you need it to be like very, very cheap, I'll say Kobe White. But, we've already talked about Michael Carter-Williams, Patty Mills, Dennis Smith Jr., Dante DiVincenzo as like reasonable pivots off. But I think and Rajon Rondo. But I think in terms of safety, Kobe White's probably your best bet. I don't know why that got flagged. This viable for cash: Westbrook, White, Hutchinson, Davis, Embiid, Hart, Redick, Dante D.
Clearly, it's for White Hutch. It's got to be Hutchinson.
Yeah, White Hutch. White side is flagged all the time. They think you're saying something racist. That's hilarious. I think that's fine. I don't know if Derek White's.
Oh, probably got a phone call in the middle. He's back.
Phone call. Sorry. All right. 15 minutes to lock, guys. I'm going to take a couple more. I'm going to do lightning round. Then I got to start banging my teams out. Like Drew or Alonzo Moore. I like.
Damn, bro. Somebody really trying to get a hold of your ass today.
It's my girl. She's calling. If she calls one more time, I'm going to just take it real quick. You take over.
You're going to take it long and hard? That's what I thought. Oh. Got him.
Yeah.
Got him. Yes.
Favorite power forward today, not Aldridge, Julius Randle, and Thaddeus Young. I've been looking at Howard all day against Houston. He should crush. Yeah, if he gets minutes, he's going to smash. They got no size. Evan Fournier and Frank Ntilikina or Aaron Gordon and Kevin Knox? Aaron Gordon and Kevin Knox. The answer is never going to be Nitty from me. Elk from Isaiah Battles. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Gordon and Knox, but I don't really like any of those 4, to be honest. I say go back to the drawing board and come back with something better. I don't think I missed any questions. All right. Cool. Playing Howard and Davis thoughts, totally fine. Harris and FanDuel GPPs. If you're talking about Tobias, yes. I like Tobias Harris quite a bit. That game, I think, could be the best of the night if it stays close.
Looks like Kem Birch will start for Wes Iwundu today.
All right.
For anybody that gives a damn about that.
All right, couple more questions. Kadeem Allen, question mark? Nah. Playing Howard and Davis thoughts? Yeah, that's fine. Is Redick in play? Yes. Not too much exposure, though. Is Bullock in play? Yeah, it seems like he's going to be very popular. He is not a high ceiling guy. I'm not that into it. Who's a good mid-range small forward? Thaddeus Young, is he small forward eligible? Guess not. Trevor Ariza. There's not many, small forwards. Let me sort this by price. Kyle Kuzma, Terrence Ross, Trevor Ariza, Bias Harris, mid-tier small forwards.
Yeah, I think a small forward. I mean, if you're looking for cheap, I think the two that I'm hanging my head on today are Chandler Hutchison number 1, and then Ariza number 2. I think if you're looking for value at the position, I think those are the two I'm most likely to hang my head on today in terms of ownership. But other than that, like I'm kind of with you. I see what you mean, man. Obviously, the stars and scrubs approach, people are trying to force it. It seems like, right? With like, we're talking about players we don't normally ever really talk about. Like Michael Carter Williams, on a slate where he's not popular, he's going to go out and break it. I'm not saying he's going to be popular, but on a day where people are forcing themselves to like players they don't normally play, it really makes you wonder about what builds you're kind of going through. And especially after talking to you and discovering that outside of Whiteside, like there's pivots. There's like at each tier, there's a player that's going to be popular. And then there's like 3 or 4 pivots next to him that are in the same price range, almost identical. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of wild. As far as the Reggie Bullock, I heard a lot of people talk about Reggie Bullock. I'm not super big on it. I'm going to get some because he is 3,500. With RJ Barrett coming off the bench, I'm assuming he's going to be somewhat limited. So I do think Bullock will play a lot of minutes as a veteran option. And he is the other Nick that showed like not significant, but he was the second highest increase with Marcus Morris off the court. So I understand it. With that said, it is Reggie Bullock. We're talking about a guy whose ceiling is 25. So, and his floor is probably like 8 or maybe even 5. But, just to explain, I think why people may be confused as to why is Reggie Bullock a thing today. So just kind of like put that out there and explain that. The Howard call, bro. I tell you what, man. As far as value, like, because when you look at centers, right? I got a lot of ownership to guys like LMA today, Hassan Whiteside, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. But then you get into this tier, bro, where it's like a lot of these like Derek Favors 5K, Mitchell Robinson 4.8, and then Dwight Howard. It gets kind of interesting the way that whole situation plays itself out. How interested in you are in Zion, bro?
A little bit. He's tough for me to get with like 100% Dame and like a lot of Randall, but real good spot. But like I will say that like you can just play Favors for so much cheaper, and I think at the end of the day they'll have similar like points per dollar.
Yeah, I agree. I do expect a bounce back from him. Zion was a guy that I really wanted to play earlier, but just the way the slate kind of played out, I ended up really not, reaching him a ton. It just shit happens. But the Howard call is pretty interesting. Some of that hammer value action. Obviously, plenty of risk, but hey, bring it. You know what I mean? Bring the risk. Let's go. Let's go. Man, so you're gonna lock button Dame today, huh?
Yep,
I'm excited, bro.
First time I'm lock button.
I'm nervous for you, bro. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I obviously you see me play guys 100% and things like that. But it's always nerve wracking when you do. Like, even when you talk yourself, like you'll tell me, like, bro, there's no need to go 100% on that guy. And I know I see exactly where you're coming from. But in my head, I try to act all confident, like, bro, I'm doing it. I got this. But on the inside, obviously, once lock comes, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh shit! Like I got so much right on this one player. That's gonna be a fun switch.
Talk to me about your top 3 favorite game stacks in order.
Oh man, so Portland, San Antonio is the one that I like personally, just myself. The numbers, my numbers are pushing me towards the Milwaukee Philly game, mostly the Philly side, and then I had. Like, the last one's torn between the Late Night Hammer and the New Orleans game. And to be honest, like the more I think about it, it's weird. It's like I don't really want too many Rockets, but I do like Anthony Davis a ton. However, on the New Orleans side, I like Zach LaVine a lot. So the third game, I'm kind of split. But as far as game stacks go, I'll give you my first 2 would be the Spurs, Portland, and then the Philly, Milwaukee, I think. What about you? Holla via me.
Yeah, same. Philly, Milwaukee's probably my favorite. Like if that game stays close, I see it being the best. Then Portland, Spurs, and then New Orleans, Chicago.
Yeah, it's just dirty time. What has Favors been playing? Like 25 minutes? Roughly?
Yeah.
Favors, man. His usage was pathetic, but this is a smash spot. I mean, come on. Against the Bulls? These Bulls? Let me just upload this, and then I'll pop into the chat and see if we can see what's going on with them. I mean, it's pretty quiet on the news front. Obviously, the trade deadline's over, so I think we're all content. We do got some starting lineups we can go over. Bulls will start Satoransky, Levine, Hutchison, Young, and Cornette. So they are going to start Cornette at least. Pelicans will start Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, Williamson, and Favors. So nothing out of the ordinary there so far. We have about 8 minutes to lock, Nation, so make sure you are ready in case we get anything here late. So Chandler Hutchison is starting. We're good. Reggie Bullock will play. So nothing new, man. It's pretty quiet. I mean, I guess with the trade deadline over, this is like the calm, right? Like the chaos just kind of settled in, and dirties have been done. No amends have yet been made. Are you playing any Cornet since he's starting, or no? You're just not. It's just not doing that.
At 20%.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at, because I don't want to ignore him because there's not a lot of value at that position that's that low. So that can give you access to a different build, and I figured he would help you get more Dame teams too, to a degree, if you pay enough for that Dame lock button status. How much Thad Young you looking to play, bro?
45.
Damn, how I had to play when you see him in the streets. What you project his ass for to give you that much, son?
33.
33. Let me see what we got him for. Take a look. Let me see what we got him for.
He had him for around 30.
I just raised it though. I got him. Okay, 31.17. So yeah, okay. I see what we got to do. Give him a little boosty here. See if that helps him all. That's a little dramatic.
Yeah, actually I raised him to 34.3.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'll do it. That'll give you 40% of him. Show.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Messing around. What we got here? 31.17, huh? Shoot. All right, well, that loads. Let's take a look here. Okay, Jason likes it. D Money DFS says 100% Dame, little sketchy. Hey man, take money to make money. He's gonna take the chance. Taking stands, man. Doing dirties and taking stands. That's what the nation's all about.
He's killed for me. Like 4 out of the last 5 times he's played, he's been the best player on the slate.
You do kind of owe him for that. Alex Diaz, Kuzma or Hart?
I'd say Kuzma, but Hart's probably safer. Kuzma probably has the higher ceiling.
So I could dig it.
Right, so it depends, Alex Hart, who you are, what you're trying to do. Playing cash games, play Hart. Playing tournaments, play Kuzma. Trying to win 10 grand today, play Kuzma.
Fair enough. We got 6 minutes to lock, Nation, so hopefully everybody is getting their decisions in. Make them hard.
What do you think? Oh, as like another one of these cheap guards to mix in.
Rondo, I mean that's where I draw the line. I think I don't think if I'm because at that point I don't know if I need it that much. Like if Kobe White and Patty Mills and these guys don't do it for me, then at that point I probably shouldn't have paid down that low. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how. I mean, it's just trying to project his minutes. It's hard to take a real stance on him, man. You have no idea how many minutes he's gonna play each night. Just cray. All right, then shit.
I mean, I just basically upload the WiseTake projections, put what do you call it? Put
some stank on it.
Games projection 5, put them at 100%, and hit optimize.
And tell it, and then just have it do the dirty for you, right? That's shit. You're rooting for Dame, horde.
Exactly. No.
Horde. All right, I think this is gonna be my last time doing. I hope so, man. We got fucking 4 minutes to lock. This better be my last one. Shit. I'm tired of doing this shit.
Shoot.
How much Randall you end up playing? Oh boy.
Like 45 as well on Randall.
Yeah, it's beast. I respect the hell out of it, but beast.
I jacked him up too.
Yeah, I believe it.
It sacrificed a lot of element.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't love.
Oh, it sacrificed a lot of element. Holla if you hear me. Yeah, I'm gonna be playing a lot of Simmons today.
I'm gonna hear.
I'm gonna be playing a lot of Simmons today. Yes, sir. You gonna play? Damn. So Nation, there you have it. Like you could know, like you could sweat it out with Paulie tonight. You know, every time you see Paulie make a point, I mean, every time you see Dan make a point, you know there's gonna be a smile on Paulie's face, Nation. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. I like that. Nation can root with you, Paulie, because they know. That's what happens when you take them stands.
Standing on it. 5-game slate.
5-game slate on the dirty. Getting them phone calls. You better take that call, man. Somebody's trying to get a hold of his ass, and if it's a girl, he does not want to get an ass whooping. Where are we at here? Man, the CSV shit can be complicated sometimes, right? Real quick, those of you subscribed to WiseTake.com, we did do a little strategy session workshop on MME. If you have access to a WiseTake Nation membership and the NBA content, you will have access to the workshop. You can go in there and do that dirty all you want. Did we go over some basics? I'm going to try to do the workshop a couple times a week. What the hell?
Sorry about that. Oh, she called again. Like, yo, baby girl, trying to do the dirty here.
Do the dirty here, indeed. What the hell? 2 minutes to lock. And I shorted this somehow. What did I do? Well, I'm gonna have to upload it. 2 minutes to lock, Nation.
Less than that.
Is it?
1.5.
No. 1.5. You gotta do me like that. You gotta do me like that, man. Shit.
Sure.
You're gonna have to give me the countdown because I made a little mistake. So I need to try to fix it. I got something up there, but I did make a little mistake that I'm hoping that I could fix real quick.
Alright, you got exactly one.
Oh, no, don't tell me like that. Alright, we got this. We got this. Come on. I thought that shit finished too quick. I didn't generate enough teams. I mean, I did some copy and pasted and all that, so should be okay. But let's see. No, this ain't gonna. Shit. How much time I got?
Like 18 seconds.
Oh, no, don't do that to me, though. You just say it so casual, too. Mother frigga.
Boom, that's Lock Nation.
Damn. Oh, damn. It's all good. I'll do some late swap action. That's going to do it for us today, Nation. Appreciate those of you who are hanging with us. Always a lot of fun, always a blast. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow. We do these shows Monday through Friday. I have the early look sometime in the morning, late morning, 11, 11:30, 12, something like that, maybe even a little earlier. So be on the lookout. Make sure you subscribe. Good luck tonight. If you get some screenshots, let us know, man. We like to hear. We like to see the success. We like to feel good about it. Tricky slate. Wish y'all the best of luck. For Pauly D, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
Yeah.